For a long time, I believed my relationship was boring in the best possible way. No drama, no constant fights, no emotional roller coasters, just routine, stability, and the quiet comfort of knowing who you come home to every night. That's why I never suspected anything. We had been together for almost 3 years, long enough to stop trying to impress each other, long enough to fall into habits that felt permanent. We had our favorite restaurants, our favorite shows, even our favorite silence. The kind where you don't feel the need to fill the room with words just to prove something. She used to say she loved how calm everything felt between us, how safe, how predictable. Looking back now, that word should have scared me. Her schedule was simple: Mondays through Fridays, normal work hours, except Tuesdays and Fridays, when she said she worked late. At first, it made complete sense. Her job was demanding, and I respected that. I never complained. I never questioned it. I trusted her without hesitation. Those nights slowly became part of our routine. She'd kiss me goodbye, promise to text when she was done, and walk out the door. I'd make dinner for one, put something on in the background, and fall asleep before she came home. Sometimes she'd wake me up quietly. Sometimes I wouldn't even notice she was back. Months passed like that. The first crack appeared in the most insignificant way possible. One afternoon, I was driving across town when I noticed her car parked on a quiet street. It wasn't near her office. It wasn't near any store she usually went to. It just sat there, out of place, like a detail that didn't belong in the picture. I stared at it longer than I should have. That evening, I casually asked her about it. I tried to sound normal, curious, not suspicious. She smiled and said she had met a coworker and then ran a few errands. Her answer was smooth, effortless. I felt stupid for asking. But something inside me shifted. Not panic, not jealousy, just a low, constant hum of unease that refused to disappear. From that moment on, I started noticing things I had ignored before. Her phone was always face down. She started taking calls in the other room. She became vague about small details, like where she had lunch or who she spent her breaks with. Nothing obvious, nothing you could accuse someone of, just enough to make you feel like you were slowly losing your grip on reality. I kept telling myself it was nothing, that relationships change over time, that comfort sometimes looks like distance. I wanted to believe that I was the problem, because that explanation felt easier than the alternative. But the feeling didn't fade. It grew louder. On a Tuesday evening, she said she'd be working late again. Same tone, same routine, same casual goodbye. I watched her walk out the door and felt something tighten in my chest. I told myself I wouldn't do anything stupid. 5 minutes later, I grabbed my keys. Following her felt wrong in a way I can't fully explain. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I kept thinking that if she noticed me, I'd have no excuse, no justification that wouldn't sound insane. She didn't go toward her office. She drove in the opposite direction, across town, into a neighborhood I barely recognized. She parked near an apartment building that looked ordinary enough to be invisible. No signs, no lights on in the windows that stood out. She walked inside without hesitation, like she belonged there. I stayed in my car, watching the entrance. Minutes passed, then half an hour, then an hour. Every part of me hoped she'd walk back out and laugh it off, that she'd call me and say she forgot something at work. She didn't. When she finally came out, she looked relaxed, almost happy. That hurt more than anything else. I drove home in silence. I didn't confront her. I didn't ask questions. I needed to understand how deep this went before I destroyed whatever illusion I was still holding on to. After that night, I paid attention in a way I never had before. I noticed how she showered immediately after coming home, how she changed clothes without sitting down, how she smiled at messages she never showed me. Then I found the second phone. It was buried at the bottom of her bag, always on silent, always hidden. I never touched it. I didn't need to. The fact that it existed was proof enough. One night, while she was asleep, it vibrated softly. The screen lit up just enough for me to read the preview. Miss you already. Same place Friday. I didn't wake her up. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, realizing I was sharing a bed with someone who was living a completely different life. From that moment on, everything felt fake. She talked about our future like nothing had changed. Vacations. Moving in together. Names for kids we might have someday. Every word felt rehearsed, like lines from a script she was tired of performing. I stopped asking questions. I already knew the answers. When I finally confronted her, it wasn't dramatic. There were no raised voices, no accusations. Just a quiet moment where I asked her to sit down and tell me the truth. She didn't deny it. She didn't even look surprised. She told me she felt different there. Freer. Less responsible. Like she could be someone else without consequences. She said life with me felt safe, stable, predictable. I asked her why she stayed. She said she didn't want to lose either version of herself. That was the moment I understood everything. I wasn't being cheated on because I wasn't enough. I was being used as the foundation while she built another life on top of mine. I didn't ask who the other person was. I didn't ask how long it had been going on. It didn't matter. I ended it that night. No shouting, no begging. Just a quiet ending to something I had believed in alone. Leaving felt unreal. Like stepping out of a life that had never truly been mine. Like realizing the person you loved only existed in the version of the story you told yourself. It took months to stop replaying every memory in my head, to stop wondering what I missed, to stop blaming myself for trusting too easily. Eventually, the anger faded, then the sadness. What remained was clarity. Some people don't cheat because they're unhappy. They cheat because one life is never enough for them. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away without asking questions that won't change the truth.